Hey, everybody, we are back. This is episode 2 of Conservation Briefs here on the SOHOLT Brothers YouTube channel, all things public land teas. I'm joined by Lukas Leaf of Sportsmen for the Boundary Waters. Thanks for hopping on with me.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Sam.
Yeah, so obviously, I've followed you guys for a long time, and it's the dumbest thing is I have never taken a Boundary Waters trip myself yet, which is ridiculous. It's always been in the works, but I haven't made it happen. But the first thing I
Yeah,
want
we
you,
got to make that happen.
yeah, big time. Maybe next spring. I think is probably the
Sure.
answer. Yeah. Um,
Okay.
but why don't you tell people just who you are, about the organization a little bit, and then talk about the Boundary Waters itself after you get through that.
Sure. Yeah. Well, Lukas Leaf, Executive Director at Sportsmen for the Boundary Waters. We're a 501c3 nonprofit that works pretty broadly on, protections and issues that pertain to the Boundary Waters, specifically the proposed Twin Metals copper nickel mine. We also have a stewardship arm, access, opportunity, habitat. We work on, aquatic invasive species and, sit on a number of different, committees with like, Forest Service and other folks like that. So
Mm-hmm.
we like to get on the ground and do as much work, for that area as possible, which includes like the Superior National Forest, the entire arrowhead of northeastern Minnesota as well. Um, Biggest issue currently, right, that we're going to get into is that proposed mine from Twin Metals.
For sure.
Um, it is directly upstream of the Boundary Waters.
So before we
And
go into the mining thing, why don't you tell people what is the Boundary
sure,
Waters canoe area? Because even though it's like, correct me if I'm wrong, but it's the most visited wilderness area in the country, correct? Yeah.
yep,
And
it,
so
it
why don't you
is.
describe it and just talk about BWCA like as a whole?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Well, as you mentioned, most visited wilderness area, roughly 150,000, visitors all seasons. It is a 1.1 million acre lakeland wilderness, so interconnected lakes, streams, rivers, aquifers, only accessible by your own personal power.
Mm-hmm.
Canoes, portaging in between lakes, world-class fishing, hunting, camping, canoeing, hiking, bird watching. I mean, the list goes on. Super accessible to all age groups. Um, it is housed within the Superior National Forest, which is also 3 million acres. A unique fact about the Superior National Forest is it holds 20% of the fresh water in the entire national forest system.
Wow.
So, I mean, we got a lot of fresh water up,
Yeah.
up up here right now, right? So, I mean, that's an important fact that, when it comes to, when we get into the mining proposal itself. But the Boundary Waters really supports a huge outdoor recreation economy as well, and that's a big factor for a lot of the folks up there at this moment.
Yeah, yeah. So not only a giant recreational like place where people to go and experience wild places, but also like the safety of the ecosystem, right? I mean, you're talking about water and soil quality and air quality and like everything that produces, and protects is like, something worth
Hmm.
protecting. So yeah, dive into the mining stuff because this has been, when I emailed you, like this has literally been like a ping pong ball of like, okay, it's
Oh
proposed,
yeah.
it's happening. Oh, it's rescinded. Oh, it's back in. It's, so just give people like the broad overview of what is potentially going to happen and what that would mean for the Boundary Waters.
Yeah, I mean, I won't go too far back, right? This is a decades-long fight, specifically the last decade. Most importantly, in 2023, the Biden administration um, instituted what's called a mining moratorium. It was a 20-year mining moratorium or mineral withdrawal within the Rainy River watershed of northeastern Minnesota, which
Okay.
houses the Superior National Forest, the Boundary Waters. Um, Uniquely, that mining moratorium does not differentiate between what types of mining are banned, right? So, before moving forward, a huge point we like to make is that, we're supportive of other types of mining and potentially other mines, just not this specific mine in this place, right? So there's also been, in the ping pong of legislation, some bills introduced that would codify that, but also create permanent protection, and then remove other extractive industries like iron ore and taconite from that withdrawal area, right? So it'd be specifically focused on copper nickel and this project.
Sure. Okay.
So moving forward, we have this mining, withdrawal in place. Twin metals leases were revoked again within the Biden administration, and working on that permanent protection legislation over the course of the last couple of years, and then here we are at the Trump administration. All indications had pointed to working to reverse some of these decisions, as we've seen with a lot of other conservation issues over the last 6 months. So what has currently happened is a letter was issued from the Deputy Secretary of Interior, Kate McGregor, that essentially overturns a legal opinion from the Biden administration that said that these leases could not be lawfully renewed. And that sort of sets the stage for Twin Metals to be able to reacquire those leases. They currently do not have leases, which is a good point to make, right? And then the Trump administration has also indicated that they want to overturn that mineral withdrawal, which we expect to see at some point here soon.
Yeah. And
so that's kind of the ping pong effect, right? Like,
yeah.
Boom, you get protections, they get taken away. And that's happened since the Obama administration.
Yeah, and it's just the difference in ideologies between administrations, where it's you're trying to do extraction here at home, trying to it's just depends on what you believe in. The biggest thing is the mine, would it be, if they get the leases and go forward, the mine, it would not be in the boundary waters itself, right?
No.
Okay.
No.
But the
biggest
is problem,
directly adjacent to the boundary waters.
Right.
Yes.
So maybe just talk about, the fact you said, you guys understand that some extraction needs to happen. You're not against certain mines because there's ways to do it safely, and so you're not going to destroy an ecosystem. But this particular mine, what's the fear because of this specific type of mining?
Well, a good thing to point out is non-ferrous or copper nickel mining, like this specific type of mining, has never been done without polluting in some form.
Right. So it has a 100% track record of pollution.
There's a 100% track record.
Yeah.
There's different ways of storing, the tailings, which is the byproduct of mining for the minerals. But again, terrible track record.
Yeah.
And a huge issue is what can be leached from that byproduct, which is, acid mine drainage is a very big one, and that can affect fish and wildlife populations, human health, water quality, of course, right? So it's essentially extending into the entire ecosystem. And that water from where that proposed mine is flows directly into the boundary waters.
Sure.
Because it is north of the Laurentian Divide, so water flows north from there. And that flows all the way over from there into Rainy Lake, all the way up into Hudson Bay. So it's not necessarily just the boundary waters that could be affected.
Right. And that's something that, could potentially take years to work through the system, but it's something that, looking at it from the outside looking in, like I said, I've never actually gone and experienced a trip in the boundary waters, but just from the photos and the videos and everything that comes out of there, and people explaining their experiences of spending time in a canoe and portaging and doing family trips and whatever it is, going and catching smallmouth and amazing fisheries. It seems to me, and I'm very biased because I've been trying to protect wild places for a long time, it seems to me like it's a no-brainer. And I understand there's lots of money involved in this, and that's where all this stems from, and in the name of progress. But God, there's just places that need to be protected. And the fact that there's even
absolutely.
A percentage chance that you could pollute an entire waterway that's stems millions of square miles, basically, when you're talking about all of the boundary waters, the Rainy River, and then Hudson Bay. That's a giant chunk of water.
It's a huge chunk of water.
Huge. You talk about polluting that, even a fraction of a percentage chance doesn't seem worth it to me, because the literal downstream effects would have such negative consequences.
Yeah, and you really nailed it. And it comes down, also to outdoor heritage, outdoor tradition. that outdoor economy, right? People aren't going to differentiate between, you know, a polluted or non-polluted space, right? I mean, if something does happen here, it is directly going to affect those folks on the ground
Right.
up
Right.
north as well.
Yeah.
But, it really is, how many of these places do we have, and how many times do we have to threaten something before there's even the possibility of getting it right? Is it worth the risk? What do we stand? It's not what we stand to gain, it's what we stand to lose.
Right. Right.
And we cannot recreate these places, cannot recreate freshwater, which is a huge, huge commodity at this point. We cannot recreate, world-class fishing and hunting opportunities and, sensitive water ecosystems. Um, it really comes down to also, providing these opportunities for our future generations, like we've been able to as well. Um,
I mean, that's
Special places like this are just too important to risk. I
yeah,
mean,
yeah.
there's only so many.
That's what got me into all this stuff from day one. Was I didn't even have kids. When we started the public land teas and this mission to like raise awareness about all this stuff, I didn't have kids at the time. I finally have a 1-year-old daughter. But even from the beginning, it was like if and when I have kids, I cannot imagine a world where they don't have the same opportunities that I do to go explore these places. Because without that, I wouldn't be who I am. I wouldn't be able to do what I do. And just like the possibility of future generations not having that is, that's a punch in the gut to me. I can't stand that.
I could not agree more. I mean, I have twin 5-year-old girls, right? Like my thoughts on this have ramped up since that has happened as well. Um, yeah.
Yeah. And so is Twin Metals, so that's the name of the mining operation, right? Is this a American company, or is this where's the parent company of this mining operation?
It's a great question. The parent company is Chilean,
Okay.
called Antofagasta.
Gotcha.
So Twin Metals is a subsidiary of a foreign mining conglomerate
Sure. Yeah. Well,
that
we've
also
seen
doesn't have a great track record
right.
within Chile as well.
Right. We've seen how that works out. I did a podcast for Field and Stream with Randy Newberg, and he
Hmm.
was talking about all of the hard rock mining stuff, all of the mineral extraction out west, and how they pay zero royalties. And so we have foreign mining companies in the west that are giving zero back and just extracting from our public land system. And so I don't know what this would look like, but I would imagine that it would be kind of a similar situation because it's not directly inside of the boundary waters, and even though it would most likely cause a pollution effect on the boundary waters, like we're not going to get the general public, we're not going to get anything in return to like increase like an improve habitat or anything. Like it wouldn't be like a give and take.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, if Twin Metals is able to move forward, we would learn more about what may be included in that regard in a new mine plan of operations that would be submitted. But what another great point here is that, this administration is currently pushing so hard for domestic critical mineral extraction, right? It's kind of the cart before the horse when you think about it a little bit, because we really don't have any processing or smelting facilities or enough operational in the United States for that. These minerals extracted would immediately go, regardless of the relationship with China, would go to China for processing.
Right. Right.
How and when, for how much those come back, who knows at this point? There's a lot of different things floating around with tariffs and copper being added to the critical minerals list. So, I mean, things can change very rapidly, but currently there's no process for that.
Right. Right. And I mean, you're talking, years of construction and whatever to build those facilities, if that would ever even happen.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, there's a huge stopgap possibly at the state level. If Twin Metals gets its leases, the moratorium is overturned, they still have to go through the processes of receiving, certain state permits through state agencies, submitting that mine plan of operation for approval, and then eventually, like you said, it's years down the line of shovels in the ground. So there's time still to prevent it. So I always like to say it's like we're not at the dark, the deep end of the pool here
Right.
yet, right?
Yep.
Like there's still a lot of work to be done. There's still a huge possibility of preventing this from moving forward, even though there's a strong effort by the administration to move it.
Sure. Sure. Well, what can people do? Like, how can people follow Sportsmen for the Boundary Waters, and what can they do to, like, one, stay informed, but then two, like, get involved and help you guys to be able to continue to speak on this message and be really like boots on the ground every day?
I mean, social media is king at the moment, right? I mean, at Sportsmen, menbwca.org on all of our channels. We keep them up to date as much as possible. Our website, sportsmenbwca.org, we also do that. Joining our email list is huge because we keep folks updated. We give actions out for folks, events to attend to learn more and get educated, volunteer opportunities. Participate in the process, administratively, if there's comment periods, submit what you can, write a personal note, make sure these folks are hearing from you. And that is also at the congressional level. Call your congressperson, both federally and at the state level. That is the biggest thing we can do right now. We saw it with the public land sales, and we need to do it now with the sell-off of places like the Boundary Waters.
Right.
And that will have a huge impact.
Yeah, and I think people always underestimate how much impact that actually has, because most people won't pick up the phone and make a call. Those representatives know that every time they do get a voicemail left, they know that there's another, 10x the amount of people or 100x the number of people who are thinking that exact same thing. So you heard it from Lukas. Pick up the phone, call your representatives, let them know how you feel one way or another about the issues. It makes a giant difference. Well, perfect. That was everything that I needed. I appreciate you hopping on. We're keeping these real short and to the point. I'll put all the links to all of the Sportsman BWCA stuff in the description below, so everyone can go hop on there. And then I'll, when I post social stuff, I'll tag you guys on there. So thanks again for hopping on.
Thanks for redirecting me in the beginning there, because I started getting into the issue before the Boundary Waters. But
no, I understand. I was fired up about it too. I always like to paint the picture of the
absolutely.
place first, so people can get an understanding. Because I live close to it and I haven't been there.